So, am I the asshole for not sharing my son's investment account with my daughter? Hi, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Don't Go Broke Trying. I am your host, Reni. Today, we have our Coinfessions episode. If you are brand new here, Coinfessions are our coin confessions, our money confessions, and we basically answer all the questions that you submit and questions that were submitted via Reddit and that we find all over Reddit. So I am very excited for you all to listen to this episode today. We are going to this is like a light and fun episode, just answering some of the questions that you have all about money. My guest for today, because I never answer these alone, my guest for today is Eduek Brooks, and she is also known as Two Sides of a Dime online, and we had a great conversation. So if you are new here, I want you to go back, listen to the previous episode all about how to not go broke trying to invest. But yeah, Eduek is here. Hi, Eduek. How are you?
Hi, I'm good.
Good. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So can you introduce yourself briefly for the audience in case they don't know you?
Hi, everyone. My name is Eduek. I'm an engineer, financial educator, trauma of money certified coach, and the founder of Two Sides of a Dime, which is a financial literacy platform that is dedicated to making personal finance easy to digest and very, very easy to implement. I focus on giving you the tips that you can implement right away because we know personal finance, information is hard to come by. So having somewhere where you can go and get the answers to your question with actionable steps that you can implement today.
Yes. So as she said, personal finance content is not easy to come by and especially accessible and things that are in a language that you can understand. It's not easy to come by.
Relatable too.
Yeah. So check out her platform so that you can learn more. I will make sure to leave her links in the show notes below. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see our beautiful faces, but a lot of you don't know that we have a YouTube channel. So if you don't know, just so you know, we have a YouTube channel. It's called Don't Go Broke Trying, and you can watch all of the episodes there. The reason why I was so excited for Eduek to come on here is because every time we post Coinfessions on our Instagram page, Eduek is always chiming in, okay? She has the greatest clapbacks ever. So I'm really excited to hear her takes on these topics. And obviously she has that educator lens as well. So it's not just funny responses, but also educational responses as well. And if you would like to submit your Coinfession, just use the link below. It is an anonymous form and you can tell us your money problems. Okay, so Eduek, are you ready to get into it?
Yes, let's get into it. I'm waiting for the tea. I love tea.
Okay, let's start off. The first one we're going to get from Reddit, and it's from r/am I the asshole. Am I the asshole for not sharing my son's investment account with my daughter? Hey all, my son was born in 2000 and I shortly afterwards opened up an investment account with the intentions of handing it off to him after he graduated college to give him a head start in life. My wife loved the idea. I put in $10,000 initially and started adding $100 monthly, and the account sits at over $60,000 today. A majority of it was just put into mutual funds, and some months I take out the $100 and toss it into riskier stocks that didn't really pan out. Yes, I learned my lesson that if you're not making this a career, just toss it into funds. When our daughter was born 2 years later, I started up an account for her as well. About a year in, my wife and I got drunk with friends and the topic of investing came up. My wife said something silly along the lines of, anybody can invest, and it became a lengthy discussion at the beach with our friends chiming in. In the end, she wanted to take over my daughter's investment account and manage it to show me how easy investing was. We discussed it at length over the following weeks and she dug her heels in, so I relented and gave her control. Long story short, the account sits at just over $16,000 for two reasons. Because she picked bad individual stocks instead of funds, and she wasn't adding to the account at the start of every month. Well, we had a blowout fight about a week ago, and I mentioned to our son that he was going to inherit a bunch of money once he graduates this spring. Naturally, our daughter wanted to know if and how much she was going to receive. I mentioned that, of course, I'd done the same for her, but she'd have to ask her mom, as I wasn't about to be the one that set off that ticking time bomb. After my wife showed the numbers, the meltdown happened, and then she told our daughter we'd just combine the accounts and split them equally. At this point, I flipped a lid and explained that we definitely not do that because in her everyone can invest BS, she'd insulted how difficult investing was and needed to deal with the ramifications of her poor choices in investing. We've not had a meaningful discussion since. We've been cold to each other since. And our daughter is mad at us for a significantly smaller amount she stands to inherit. So, am I the asshole for not sharing my son's investment account with my daughter?
Yeah, you are the asshole.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's not about... So both of them in this case are actually assholes,
Okay.
both him and the wife,
Okay.
because they're handling this as though it's their individual portfolio. If you... First of all, the mistake they made was trying to bet on their kids' education, trying to prove a point. You should not be starting a portfolio for your child to prove a point that investing is easy. That's the first mistake she made. And now it's like, okay, let's put aside our differences. Yeah, you screwed up, you messed up. But the reason why we wanted to put this money aside was for our kids. And making the daughter kind of bear the ramification of the bad decisions the mother made is just, it's not going to help anyone. Because at the end of the day, both of you wanted to do this for your kids. Yes, you shouldn't have done it the way it came about, but that mistake has been made. But how do we move forward? What I think they should do is split the money between each child, because at the end of the day, let's look at the big picture. The son goes to school, he has all the money, he can pay his tuition, and then the daughter has to take on student loans and then is set behind. Who is going to take the brunt of this? It is the daughter. So at the end of the day, I don't think that the way they're going about it is the right way. I don't even think they should have done that from the start. It's like, who says, oh yeah, let's prove a point? You could have done that with your portfolio. Why didn't you do that with your investing portfolio?
I know that's the
why
weird
is it the
part.
child's portfolio?
But that's why I think she's the asshole. Like I don't know if he's the asshole, but I know she's definitely the asshole.
Yeah, she's the bigger asshole.
Yeah. So is your solution that, okay, $76,000 is what they have in total, split it 2 ways, and then each kid gets however much?
Yeah, I think depending on how closer, I'm assuming one person is closer to needing the money than the other person. So maybe like 50K goes to the one that needs the money now, while the remaining they put it in sensible investments, and that can grow until the daughter needs it.
But they're only 2 years apart, the kids. So I guess if I'm going to university, the son's going to university this year, and then then the daughter's going, then 2 years, they could put it in for 2 years, but how much is it really going to grow in the next 2 years?
You know what, the mom needs to take out her own money and
and match that, right?
Make up for the difference.
Honestly, I think the
like
mom's
trying
the
to
big
prove a point like that. It's so weird.
I think the mom's the big asshole here. So let me read some of the edits that they made. Edit 1. My wife had full control of the accounts. I would ask her how it's going, and she was telling me the account was doing well. So I trusted her, so I did not ask for the login to see it myself. Edit 2. My son's account had 14.7K at the time of the challenge, and my daughter's account had roughly 11K in it. So when they first... So she grew up from 11K to 16K, whereas he grew up from 14K to 60K. Wow. Edit 3. I'm halfway tempted to just give them 15K each and take the rest and buy myself a new truck, seeing as how I become the bad guy. There, they get the same amount, and I reward myself for successful investing. Probably the only happy person in the equation then, but I'm mind blown at all the attacks. Edit 4. Since most of you say I should just split the accounts in half, I decided on a fair solution. I will split the money with both kids, but I will give them all the statement from both accounts and show them that the 37K each they're getting could have been 60K each if not for their mother's poor investment choices. It's their money. They have a right to know what happened to it.
Again, I think that the couple, they're so bent on proving a point that I think they're just going about it the wrong way. Because like at the end of the day, the kid knows the mom lost money. Like, what's the point? Yeah,
and it's like you're trying to teach your wife a lesson, but you harm your kids in the process. Yeah. So, but I also think the daughter should not feel like entitled. The daughter was throwing a hissy fit. Obviously I get it. Like I probably throw a hissy fit too. Yeah. But realistically, your parents don't have to give you any money for university. But I think that the parents are the assholes in this situation. Both of them. Yeah. Especially with his response, oh, I should just go buy myself a truck. No, you put that money away for your kids' education for a reason. So I beg to differ. So all the comments are saying everybody sucks here. Everybody sucks here. So someone said everybody sucks here. So just to be clear on this, you're going to punish your daughter for your wife being bad at investing, and to prove a point that you're better at it. Your wife screwed up and everyone knows it, which is why she's also an asshole. But let's be clear. This isn't your son's money. It's not like he gave it to you to invest on his behalf. It's all your money. What you do with it is all up to you, but you're going to cause a huge split in the family if you don't find some way to share that money between both your children. Yeah. I think he said it perfectly. Yeah. This person said it perfectly. Okay, next confession. This one was a write-in from one of my listeners. Hi, Reni. I, female, single, 29, is making about $70,000 a year and living in Canada. I'm also the breadwinner of my family back home. #black tax. My 2 siblings are finally ready to move here through school, and my parents expect me to pay some or all of it if possible. All of it? All of international school fees?
I'm just having flashbacks.
I've been clear it's not possible, and they need to get jobs to cushion the required funds, as I can't shoulder everything. I've been saving since last summer, and tithing has been difficult with my personal bills, mainly a line of credit that I took recently to be able to go back home, and saving for a home and emergency fund, and taking care of my family. Are my finances being extra difficult because I'm not paying taxes? I'm not sure what they meant by that sentence.
Maybe I think they wanted to say tight.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So are my finances being extra difficult because I'm not paying tithes? Is God beefing me? LOL. I currently do the bare minimum. What with it? It's like $100 a month on tithing. So I guess they're just asking what should they do in this situation?
Yeah. Okay, let's go a little bit towards tithing, because tithing is something that I do. I feel like a lot of Christians, we've been kind of bullied into tithing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you go to church, you hear about give. And it's like, if you're not giving, it's like they tell you, like, give so you can get this reward. And you feel like, if I'm not giving and that reward is not coming in, is because I'm not giving. But tithing, what it is, if you go back to when that practice started to happen, it was more of a symbol. And what it does is that it actually shows your heart posture. It's just like if I came to you, like maybe I was trying to court you, and I say, oh, I like you very much. I want to take care of you. I want to do all of these nice things for you. But I see that you're struggling with something, like maybe you have a condition. And I'm like, no, don't worry. I love you, but I'm not going to help you out with this. I know I have the means to help you out, but I'm refusing not to do the one thing that is causing you sleepless night, that is causing you a lot of pain. I'm the one person in that position to help, and I'm choosing to ignore it. With tithing in regards to the church, God is not going to come down and perform miracles anymore. That's why he's entrusted with us the wealth, the money that we have. And the church is the bride of Christ. The church is the nearest and dearest to the heart of God. And when you tithe, because ideally what that tithe is supposed to do is to take care of the church. So when you go into church and you say, oh, I love God, I love you so much, you mean so much to me, and then he tells you his bride is suffering. It has nothing. The staff cannot get paid. They cannot pay rent. Maybe they have to shut down the church because they cannot keep the lights on. So you going into telling God that you love him, but you are choosing not to pay tithe, it shows where your heart is. It's like, I'm going to love you on the surface, but I'm not going to do the thing and take care of that thing that you've entrusted me in. Another thing that it does is that it shows who you trust, as you're kind of acknowledging who your source is. A lot of times we get into this new age manifesting where it's like, oh, I manifested this 100K job. I manifested this 70,000 job that I'm working now. But who is the source of what you have? So when you tithe, it's you making that acknowledgement. It's like, yeah, I worked for this. I did everything that I was supposed to do. Yeah, I did all of my intentions, my manifestation, but all of that came from somewhere. Because when we manifest into the ether, it's like a lot of people trust in the universe. But if you're Christian, you are trusting in the God that created the universe. So you're going beyond the universe and saying, it's not just the universe, it is God. That's what you do when you tithe. If you're in the financial situation where you want to tithe, but you cannot tithe, God is not going to tell you, like, I'm not going to bless you because you're not tithing, because
Yeah.
it's not him that needs it.
Word.
It's the church that needs it. And if you are capable of taking care of the church, do it. If you're not capable of doing that because you cannot financially do so, to the point where you're even feeling bad about it, then you don't have a problem. Your heart posture is still right, because you know when you start to earn more, you're going to do more. So I don't think God can never be mad at you, because the blessings that he has given to us, nobody can take that away from you.
Facts.
Regardless of what it is. Like, there's a verse in the Bible is like, there's no angel, no demon, come hell, high water, nothing can separate you from the love of God. So you not tithing is not going to stop the blessings of God. He's already sent it out to you. Maybe you might have difficulties where it's like you have all of these things grabbing at your money. It's quite evident because you're taking care of family. They want you to pay for some. Those are the things eating at your money. It's not God.
Yeah. I know. I hope that I think you said it perfectly. I don't want you to feel like God's going to be angry with you, because it's clear that you want to, but like you have a lot of things that are going on in your life, a lot of obligations. What do you think about black tax, and like how do you even manage this? Because she's 29 years old, being the breadwinner of her family, and I'm sure maybe she's Nigerian. So paying international school fees for her siblings, that could be like $30,000 a year each.
I understand that perfectly, because I have been paying this tax since the day I stepped foot into Canada. And if you're not Nigerian, some people that from certain cultures, they understand this. Once you move abroad, everybody thinks that your life is rosy and you're doing well. And they have this thing where they guilt you. I know that our parents sacrificed so much for us. A lot of us that were able to come here, lands had to be sold for us to even pay tuition. So it's almost this thing where it's like you've gone forward, like it's like paid forward. Like you were given the opportunity to go there and build a life for yourself. Now that you've done so, you have to like bring everyone necessarily along with you. And that's kind of what I've been dealing with since I came here. It's like trying to apply for everyone that I know to come to Canada, even like moving my parents over here and then being responsible for them. It's a huge responsibility for someone, especially when you're single. If you have like double income, that could help. But when it's just you, it's a lot. And there's a lot of Nigerian parents do this. They guilt you so much. It's like you feel that if you do, like you're stuck. Like even if you say no, it's like you have to deal with the guilt 100%. Of it. But at the end of the day, you really have to take a stand and say, hey, I'm going to help out, but in this capacity. This is as much as I can do. Maybe I can support them with rent. Maybe I can support them by paying their phone bill or doing a few things, but I cannot take on the entire burden of the fees and the everything. And I'm sure these are not 12-year-olds coming. These are probably people that are like in the 20s. Imagine you a 29-year-old having to take care of someone that's in the 20s. Like, it is so annoying. It's like you have the same 2 hands and 2 feet and head and everything that I have. How can you not go and work for yourself? It is so annoying. So really you have to set those boundaries. And it's like, hey, I can do an extra $500 every month. I can do an extra $1,000 and be very firm with that. Because if you don't, they'll take forever going to be asking you for money. It's never going to end. My suggestion to people who always ask me this is put them on payroll, right? Like it's like, again, $500 a month is all that I can do. Take it or leave it. Like that's it. That's the most that I can do. And if they call and cry, I don't have it. I don't get it.
It's like literally I do not have it to give. Like I would suggest doing like a spending plan or a budget, and you map out like, okay, I make $5,000 a month, I make $6,000 a month. $500 is not my money anymore. It's allocated to my parents or my siblings. The rest, you assign a dollar to every single, you assign a value to every single dollar. And you literally do not have money because every other dollar outside that $500 has a job to do. Some of it's going to your savings, some of it's investing. You said you want to buy a house. Like there's so many things that you want to accomplish. And I think you just can't pour from an empty cup, right? You're just, you're gonna
might end up going into debt because of that. Because you already mentioned having a line of credit.
Like line of credit to travel back home, saving for a home, emergency fund.
This is the reason why I never went back home, because it's just like I know my bank account is gonna be drained as soon as I step foot.
I know. I feel like this is hard.
It's hard. It's not easy. It's not an easy decision. But you have to ask yourself, it's like, what kind of strain is this going to continuously put on me?
Yeah.
Because you still have your own dreams, you have your own goals, you need to invest.
Yeah.
Who's going to help you when you get to 50 and you have no money?
Yeah.
These people are not going to answer your calls.
And I think it's easier said than done to set boundaries. Like, it's actually a very hard task to truly set boundaries to people, but it must be done, especially in this case when it comes to your money and your future, you know. If it's going to take, if you're paying for 2 tuitions for your siblings, it's going to take you a lot longer to reach any goal that you want to. And again, international student tuition is nuts.
It's
nuts.
expensive.
So
it's no joke.
Yeah, they may not be able to come right now, or on your dime at least. Like, and that's unfortunate. I'm sure you want to help your siblings, but do what you can for them with what you have. Not going into debt, especially to help fund things for them. Okay, next confession. Am I the asshole for telling my wife that her investing losses are not my problem? I, 30 male, come from a very poor family, but my wife is from a very rich one. Okay. She started off the marriage with a net worth of $31 million. And it started off... Wow. Okay. And I started off with $300,000 in student debts.
Okay.
So hers plus 31 million, his negative 300,000.
Okay. This is an interesting problem.
When we got married, she made me get a prenup that separated her inheritance and got rid of my right to an elective share to it if she dies. In other words, I renounced my spousal right to a third of her separate property if she dies, making her sole beneficiaries her siblings or potential children. My debt and our income were also separated. We both got lawyers, hers much more expensive than mine, and notarized the prenup. None of this was a problem for me. As a man, I'm determined to pull myself up by the bootstraps, not rely on my wife's wealth or anything. The only beneficial part of the prenup for me was our incomes were also now separate, and I earned somewhat of a higher income than her, so I was okay with it overall. 5 years later, I still don't have a seventh of her current wealth, but her investments haven't been doing great this year either. As a sole crypto investor, things have been going very poorly for her. I had warned her not to do this, but she invests in a cryptocurrency called Monero, which is down 47% this year. About 5% of her money was not in her wallet and was in the FTX exchange itself, which she lost after FTX went bankrupt recently. She now has a net worth of about $18 million. So from 31 million to 18 million. I don't invest in crypto, but rather in index funds. They've taken a hit this year as well, but based on historical performance, they should go back up eventually. No such guarantee for cryptocurrencies, and certainly not from Monero. I came home to her crying the other day after she found out that FTX went bankrupt. I told her that's rough, not in a sarcastic way, and I went upstairs to change. When I got back downstairs, she was complaining, talking about how nonchalant I was being about her losing money. I pointed out that she's still extraordinarily rich in spite of her poor choices, and that she could stop investing in crypto at any time if she wanted to. Besides, she was the one that wanted to separate everything, so why does she want to make it my problem all of a sudden? So, am I the asshole for telling my wife that her investing losses are not my problem?
He is not the asshole.
Yeah.
She stated that very clearly in the prenup that people do these things because they think about the highs. They never think about the lows.
Mm-hmm. I even think that like marrying this talks about relationship dynamics, and like marrying someone from a significantly different socioeconomic class can pose a lot of problems long term. Yeah. Like they think about money very differently. Like even her risk tolerance is solely crypto. I feel like that's pretty insane.
That's I don't even know what to say about that. But she still has significant wealth. Even if she just put like $2 million into index funds and leaves it alone, she's still going to have a lot of money. Yeah. So it's like, not my problem, bro. Like when you signed that prenup, you clearly stated like, what's mine's mine and what's yours is yours. Yeah. So your wins are yours, but your losses are yours as well.
Yeah, I know. She's like, as you said, she wanted the highs. Like when she's protecting her highs, but when she has a low, she wants you to be there for her.
I can be a shoulder for you to cry on, but
that's about it.
Ain't nothing I'm gonna do for you here.
Yeah, I think that, okay, maybe he could have been a little nicer. Like, that's rough. You know, he could have been like, oh, sorry, baby.
Honestly, I don't feel like I would have said worse.
I don't know. Her investing choices are very questionable as well. Like, I don't know.
But that's the thing with people that are wealthy and this is actually something that people say in the finance world that I'm very, very opposed to, is, you know, when people like tell you, oh, invest like Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
It's like, you cannot invest like Warren Buffett.
You don't have Warren Buffett money.
Warren Buffett has billions of dollars. If he loses $1 million, that's like 1% of his entire net worth.
Chicken change.
He is not going to lose sleep over losing $1 million. So yes, he's a good investor. He knows what he's doing, but he can afford to take on more risk when he has a lot of money. With that false sense of, I have $31 million, like, they are more inclined to take on a lot riskier investments.
Facts.
Because they're in this, I don't know, it's like they have this bubble where it's
they're
like,
in La La Land, bro.
Yeah. And they feel like they're everything they touch turns to gold. So they feel, oh, like, even though people are losing money in crypto, it's not going to be me because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And you know, like, when you have money, you feel like, as I've built wealth to this extent, so I must have some sense. But even though that's inherited, you feel like, oh, I can do anything and make money.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
She needs a financial advisor.
She does. Even pay the 2%.
Pay the 1%, it's fine.
Yeah, she needs a financial advisor for sure. But I do think he could have been a little kinder again. But you say no, I say that he could have been like, oh, babes.
Aww.
Like, you know,
like, oh,
pele. Okay, let's read some of the comments. Someone said, do y'all even like each other? Good point. Good point, though.
Good question.
Good point. Someone said, this is the question. All the backstory wasn't really relevant to the question if OP is the asshole for not being more comforting to his wife. It shows resentment. Her lawyers and ironclad prenup shows her mistrust, not really seeing where they're in love exactly. Maybe the investment issues are not the conversation that OP really wants to have. Another person said, you're the asshole. The whole backstory doesn't matter. You agreed to it. You say yourself you felt fine with having separate finances, so it's unrelated. And what you're actually asking is, am I the asshole for not listening to or supporting my wife when she was upset? Unless, of course, you're holding a grudge over the finances and are kind of happy to see her fail.
Good question.
Another person said, not the asshole. Hey, she wanted to ensure in every possible way you couldn't touch her precious money. Crypto is the wild, wild west of investment, and if you go there, expect to be a victim of train robbery. Ooh. I am not rich. Sometimes I wonder, why do some of the silliest people get money and the rest of us don't? How do people this foolish even get the money in the first place? For the record, if I had $30 million, even with a prenup, I would still offer to pay my husband's student debt as a wedding gift.
I mean,
I forgot about that.
I mean, yeah. So like, we say these things and we expect people to just be the bigger person. But if I married someone and I love this person and the person claims to love me and you have $31 million, I know, and that 300K is like, it's less than 1% of your entire net worth and you could not support me.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
a little piece of me is going to resent you.
That's true. Actually,
a little part of me is going to resent you.
I wasn't even considering that. Maybe if this was like opposite, like it was the male who had the money and then the woman did not have.
Obviously, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, she's such an asshole.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay off for student loans.
Yeah.
It's the reverse is the case too.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that you are kind of the asshole because you could have been nicer to her, but overall, like, she did ask you to separate the finances.
Yeah. And we like to see support in only one lens of like financial. Like, you are choosing not to support your spouse financially, but now you're looking for the emotional support and all of these things. It's like you can't just keep receiving, you have to give something as well.
Yes, basketball, we both need to be given. Okay,
compromise on all ends.
Yes. Okay, so another confession. Am I the asshole for wanting to invest in the stock market? I'll be graduating high school soon. Good on you for thinking ahead. And I figured I can invest some small amounts before I go to college. At the same time, most companies and the system as a whole are very shitty. That's probably an understatement. So would investing in a portfolio of mutual funds amount to supporting capitalist suppression?
This is a question I get all the time from people. Yeah. Like the students in my program, they're like, oh, like, I want to invest, but I'm not sure if I want to like fund the company that does all of these things. Yeah. And one thing that I say is we live in a capitalist society. Right. It's almost like you saying, I'm not going to earn a high income because rich people are greedy and all of these things. At the end of the day, I strongly believe that our money is our power. I would rather be a part of the decision makers than be on the sideline. And when you invest, you get a say. Most of the people, the reason why someone like Elon Musk was able to take over Twitter was because he was a majority shareholder.
Yeah.
He was able to take over a company and flip it over its
Destroy
behind
it.
and turn it into a whole shit show
Yeah.
because of the power he had backed by his money.
Yeah.
So if you sit on the sidelines and say, oh, I don't want to fund these companies, they are going to do it with or without you. But how do you move the needle is when you're able, your voice matters. You're able to make those decisions. And we live in a society where no one's going to listen to you until you start counting dollars.
Yeah. That's
Money
very
talks.
True. That's very true. It's like, honestly, I know it's unfortunate, but it's kind of like we live in the systems, and the only way to change the systems is from within it, right? So if you truly want to overthrow capitalism, you're going to have to get in it and dirty and then, you know, fix things from within.
The
but
only
it's very
way
hard.
we can overthrow that is if there are two ways. It's either you build your own company that does the opposite of it, or you build wealth in such a way that you get to be part of the decision-making process and you can decide on what happens. At the end of the day, when you invest, your number one goal should be to make a profit. And this is my philosophy, and you're welcome to disagree. When it comes to investing, your primary goal is to make a profit. Now, as a consumer, on the other hand, you can choose who to support. Whether that's a business, if you feel like this company, don't buy the product. Don't do that. But when you're investing, because a lot of people get so emotional with it or sentimental, and it's like, oh, I'm going to go invest in these green companies that just started, this new company my mom's brother started because it's holistic and all whatnot. And you don't even know if that company is going to make money, but because they've told you that this is a good company, like you invest with that, and then you end up not making money.
Yeah, I know it's a tricky.
It's at the end of the day, you have to decide what are you going to do in this situation.
If you're investing, it should be for profit.
You should be investing for profit.
But I know a lot of people, they're still not gonna want to do it, so that's fine. There are eco-friendly ETFs, right?
There's no eco-friendly ETF.
No?
What do you mean? All greenwashed.
Okay, fair enough.
They say it's eco-friendly. But if you go into the back and see what they're doing, it's not eco-friendly. That's the thing, though. That's why the whole organic, eco-friendly, even in the products we use, because they know that's what
organic
people like to hear.
When I learned that organic isn't even like, it doesn't mean anything. Like I could say literally anything is organic. There's no, there's not even a body regulating that. Oh yeah, something is actually organic. And like it's, the whole system is a little messed up. So
because they have like the ESG companies, the environmental sustainable governance, and you see banks in there. Yeah, I'm like, a bank should not even be on that list because they're the most predatory companies in the world. Yeah. So like when you look at these things and you're like, at the end of the day, you have companies like Apple, and they have the biggest factory in China. And you're just like, is that really
fair enough?
Is that really ethical? And all these things, like, because the people that set these rules, they're part of the system. So if you rely on that, you're not going to do any.
What do you think about like halal portfolios? So I know like Wilson does a halal ETF or something like that. And if it's halal, it's supposed to be like, I don't know, it's not capitalism free or anything, but it's like maybe there's no firearms, there's no like drugs like cannabis or tobacco, like anything that would be unclean in Islam. So could that be a way to invest in a more ethical?
If it's something, if you're thinking about like your your values and things like that, you could go halal. But again, it's like at the end of the day, it's just because it's halal, yes, it's appeasing to that side of you where it's like, okay, I can sleep well at night, but is it going to help you build wealth in the long run? That's the question you have to ask yourself. For me, when it comes to ETFs and things like that, if you want to be very strictly like, okay, follow my values and things, I think you're even better off investing in individual stocks because with that, you can actually assess for yourself. If it's an ETF packaged by somebody, I don't know what those person's halal views are or their morals are. Everyone's moral compass is different. So if you're going by an ETF put together by some random person that you don't know and they tell you it's halal, it's all greenwashing. Yeah,
that's very true. Yeah, tricky subject. Let's read some of the comments. So somebody said, I doubt it changes anything. We won't bring down the system by boycotting the stock market. Boycotts in general are extremely overrated.
Yes.
That being said, getting emotionally involved and spending the time watching the stock market charts instead of, say, reading socialist literature is a possible danger I see here. So yeah. Another person said that you're basically asking about complicity. And I think the question of complicity is a really silly one. Are you complicit in capitalism by investing in the stock market? Probably yes. Are you complicit by having a job? Also yes. Are you complicit by having a car, renting, buying a house, having a bank account, and so on? Yes, yes, and yes.
Absolutely.
Capitalism is a global system which structures our lives, and from which there is no escape that one can run to. It's a system that you have to struggle against. So the question is, what do you do about that? Yeah. So
it's everywhere. You cannot avoid it. If you say, I'm not gonna support investing in a company, but then you go and shop at Walmart.
Yeah.
That they pay their workers minimum wage and they don't get breaks and stuff like that. That's just eye service.
Yeah.
Who are you fooling?
Yeah. Facts. Okay, we have a few more. I'm trying to get through as many as we can while Eduek's still here. Okay, someone said, "Hi Reni. First off, I appreciate the energy behind this photo. And if you want to know what photo that is, make sure you click the link for the anonymous form. It's a cute photo, if I do say so myself.
Okay.
I wanted to confess a struggle that I have financially. When it comes to organizing my money and spending it effectively, girl, I get overwhelmed. I feel stupid, then just avoid it altogether. I want to hear from the queens of finance. How do I get my shit in order? Excuse my French. I have a lot on the go. I finally launched my own company, which is a whole new setup of responsibilities, and I want to be successful with it. I know owning my finances would take a lot of stress off my plate. I've tried all the planners. I've watched YouTube, and nothing seems to stick. Any advice on owning your money problems, learning from them, and smashing your financial game?
Well, first of all, congrats.
I know. I was gonna say,
starting
well
your own
done.
business. And I get it. Finance is going to be overwhelming. They tell you have to pay off debt. You have to build an emergency fund, build a sinking fund, invest. Then when you start investing, that's a whole other can of worms. Yeah. So it can get really frustrating. And one thing that I like to do is to take my goals in small chunks.
Okay.
Start from what you can. The basic thing is getting your spending and your what's coming in and what's going out, going back to the budgeting, having that in place. Once you have that clear picture of, like, I usually say you don't need to budget every month, but you need to at least do it once, where you actually sit down and say, how much do I make and what is taking my money every month? When you have that clear picture, now you can see, okay, maybe we can afford to do $500 savings every month. Maybe we can afford to do another $1,000 to debt. Maybe we can do $200 towards investing, but you're not going to know that until you put pen on paper or numbers in an Excel sheet or calculator, whatever is your method. You're not going to know that until you start.
Yeah.
Once you've done that, maybe you do that analysis and you're like, okay, I have $1,000 cash flow every month. So now what is my major priority? What needs to take my money? For you, that might be getting your business off the ground. Maybe that's what I focus on now. Once that's like steady, okay, maybe now I need to attack that. Then you focus on that. And then once that's done, it's like, okay, maybe now I need to start building an emergency fund. Sometimes trying to do everything at once can be overwhelming. But once you try to take it step by step, focus on one step at a time, it's a lot feasible for you.
Yeah, I think that was great advice. I always tell people, like, the very basics is understanding your inflows and your outflows into your account, and then allocating every dollar and giving it a job. I would also say that I think, again, it's not like you don't have the motivation to try. At least you're trying, which is a great start. I would say that maybe you should also find an accountability partner to help you stick to those goals. So you start off with what Eduek said, and then maybe find somebody or a group or a one-on-one coach, somebody who can actually keep you accountable. Because again, motivation is very fleeting. It wavers. One month we feel good, next month we don't want to do anything. But if you have someone who's constantly on your ass, who's like, yo, you set this goal, we're gonna keep you to it, I think it will help you actually stay more consistent with your goals. Yeah.
And I usually find that some people, especially people in her situation, they usually find it difficult. Even I know I say start small, but even like, where do I start is a question. And that's where like having a coach comes in, someone that can show you the big picture and be like, okay, these are your goals and this is what needs to get your priority. This is what's feasible for you.
Yeah.
Most of my clients, when they come to me, it's always like, oh my gosh, I have all of this stuff going on. It's not that they don't know what to do. It's just where do I start? How do I put it into place? How do I implement it? A lot of times, like when I have clients, it's not like these people don't know anything about money. They know, like they're telling me their dreams about building an emergency fund. They know like about how to pay off debt. They know about the avalanche and all these beautiful things. It's not that they don't know, but it's like, how do I put this in motion? So if you're feeling overwhelmed, really consider talking, especially if you've tried something in the past and it's not working for you, consider getting a coach that can actually give you that guidance and, okay, this is where you need to go step by step, and also give you that accountability too.
Okay, great tips. I hope this helps you. Okay, we have a few more. Hey, Reni, hope you're good. I follow you on Instagram. I was just wondering if you also provide help to those who are struggling financially, for example, failing to save money. I'm a 28-year-old female earning a salary of approximately $60,000. I have a car loan of about $9,000 that I make bi-weekly payments of $97 on. I have 2 credit cards that are coming up to $8,000 in total. I do have a TFSA and RSP with Wealthsimple. My TFSA has $900 and my RSP has $2,800. My random savings account is $200. With the amount of money I make, my savings should really be more than that, but I'm here with a stable income living paycheck to paycheck because I'm paying off my credit cards. I need help on growing the little money I have and managing money as well. Are there any ways you can help?
So this is an issue that I've found with people that are typically living paycheck to paycheck. Okay. There are 2 reasons why you might be living paycheck to paycheck. Number 1 is you don't earn enough.
Yeah, $60,000.
You might not just be earning enough to take care of your bills and all of that. Typically, not earning enough will be anyone below 75. Now, if you make above 75 and you don't live in a high cost of living area and you still find, and you don't have 60 children, and you still find that you're living paycheck to paycheck, then maybe it's a spending problem where it's like, okay, you don't know where, there's just too many things that are grabbing at your money. Can still be an income problem. So the 2 things you might have to do is either you cut back or you increase your income, or do both.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I make sure that everything that I'm spending on is necessary and it's something that brings me joy? There's some things that we do that we think that brings us joy, but does not bring us joy. Those friends that you hang out with and then you go back and then you complain about hanging out with them might not be something that brings you joy. So maybe hang out with them less.
Yeah.
And then you start spending money that you don't need to spend. And another reason why someone might be living paycheck to paycheck is because they don't have anything to fall back on. Because as much as we budget, we try to do everything we can, life happens. And a lot of times when life happens, you need to have some kind of savings that can help you out. So if you find that every time it's like, okay, I've paid all the bills, but then there's always something that comes up, then you need an emergency fund. You need a sinking fund that will help you take care of those expenses so that you're not overextending that paycheck. And then, especially with people that are paying off debt, their number 1 goal is, I just want to pay off this credit card. I want to pay off this credit card. But if you don't have an emergency fund and you're just fully focused on paying off debt, you're paying off that credit card. Let's say you have $200 this month. You put everything towards that credit card. And then during the month, something comes up. You need that extra $50, extra $100. You're going to go back to the credit card.
Yeah.
So that repeats that cycle.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I always recommend is have an emergency fund. Jeez. Once that emergency fund is in place, it kind of you will notice that
you feel lighter.
You're feeling so much lighter.
Yeah.
And if something comes up, you know that you can easily take care of that expense without having to go back into debt. But definitely assess. That's why, there's this budgeting thing we've been talking about for how long now. It's so important because your budget, people think that budgeting is just about cutting back, but your budget actually tells you how much income you need.
Yep.
Because when you actually put your expenses together, you're like, okay, my total expenses for the year is $70,000, but I only make $60K. What needs to happen?
Yeah.
I need to increase my income by maybe $15K.
Yeah. I know. I always say you can't budget yourself out of poverty, right? You there's only so much you can cut. Sometimes you just need to increase your income. And the ways that you could do it as, for example, if you need $15K and you could have a side hustle that gets you there, or you could look for another job that would pay you more.
My favorite way is to just get a job.
Yeah, because having multiple jobs, it ain't really, it's not really it.
It's not about that. We want the baby
soft
girl lifestyle. We don't want to be hustling too much.
Soft life me. Okay, let's answer a few more that people submitted anonymously. We're gonna do 3 more. Okay. And these ones we'll do them quickly. Okay. My credit card went to collections. After some time, I was offered a partial settlement by the collections company. Do I take it? What are the pros and cons?
I would say take it. If you're,
Can you explain what a partial settlement is?
So first of all, let's talk about what collection is. So basically, when you take on debt from a company and then you miss your payments, so you stop making payments, the company will attempt to get that payment from you. And then after a few months, they realize that this person is not making their payment. Depending on the loan that you have, they might feel like it's not worth it to use their resources to go after you, because someone has to call you. Someone has to be on your case, on your file to figure out when you're going to make payments, right? So what they do is they will sell your debt to a collection agency. So that, let's say you owe $10,000. That collection agency will buy your debt for a cheaper amount. So they might buy your debt for $3,000. And they come after you because they have the resources, the manpower to come after you to pay it. So basically, when you pay, the collection agency still comes after you for that 10K.
Yeah.
And then when you pay it off, they profit the 7K. So now in the case where you're just stubborn and you're like, I'm not paying this thing off, and they're like, okay, maybe it's not worth it to chase this person. They might give you a settlement. So they were like, okay, instead of paying us $10,000, you can give us $6,000, but you have to pay us today. So you have to give us the lump sum. It's not going to be a payment plan or anything like that. And then they'll write it off like that debt is closed. Yeah. It's paid in full. So if you are given a settlement, so by the time your debt has already gone into collection, your credit is already ruined at this point. Honestly. So there's nothing you can do that will ruin it. Collecting the settlement is not going to ruin it further, because once you pay off, that debt will be closed and said it's been paid in full. But one thing you have to be very clear on is get everything in writing, because collection is another industry where there's a lot of fraud and there's a lot of scams. So someone can call you and be like, oh, because after that, all these breaches that are happening, our information is out there. So anyone can call you and say, oh, they can see on your file that you owe this much and give you all the facts. So you want to get it in writing, like paper, not email. So they have to mail you the details of that settlement. They have to tell you if it's a lump sum. Most times it's going to be a lump sum. Sometimes they might agree on a payment plan. And then what's going to happen? First of all, you want to negotiate. If they come to you and tell you $6,000, tell them no, $2,000. Because at this point they're tired of you and they're like, just give us something. They don't want all their efforts to be in vain. So if they give you whatever settlement, let's say $6,000, first of all, negotiate it lower. Let it be something you can comfortably pay off at once. So negotiate lower and then have that agreement in writing. So they're going to mail it to you, give you all the breakdown of the details of what you're going to pay and what date do you have to settle this funds by. And then when that's done, they have to send you a follow-up and tell you your accounts have been closed and all of that. Get it in writing, because that thing can come back to bite your ass years later.
Are there any cons that you know of paying off your, accepting the partial settlement?
I don't think there's any cons. After it has gone to collections. Yeah,
you're already there, right?
Settling it is going to help close that account. And the earlier it's closed, the earlier that collection can fall off, remove on your file.
Yeah, so for those who don't know, collection stays on your file for 7 years, is it? Yeah, so it's on your credit report, and it's going to significantly hurt your chance. If you're trying to get a mortgage, for example, and they see that something, it's a delinquency, right?
Yeah, because one of the things they look at is, can you pay back the loan? And if your thing has gone to collection, it means
And I see people who have gone to collections for like $200, right? They just forgot about their phone.
Some people forget it, right?
Yeah, they forgot about their, like they opened a phone with this account, then they moved to another, but they never closed out their account with the other one, and it goes to collections. It can really harm you. So first of all, try not to go into collections. But if you are there, I don't see, like, it can't really get worse than that, right? So
there's a second type of settlement though. And this is when like third-party companies, like you see it advertised as debts. They call it debt consolidation, but it's actually debt settlement. So these people actually try to negotiate with the banks or whoever you owe money with. Like they try to, similar to what you would do with a collection, but because it has not become delinquent yet, what happens is for them to be able to negotiate a settlement, so they're trying to get the banks to like lower how much you can pay back. So they would say, again, you owe 10K. The settlement company is trying to get you to pay 5K, right? But in order for the bank to even agree to a settlement, you have to be delinquent. So now you have to stop making payments. And that starts to hit your credit score. And then if you have a settlement, if your thing is settled, it's not going to be shown as paid in full. It's going to be written like it is a settlement. And that's it's similar to collection, where that also stays on your file and that hurts your credit. So try not to use those settlement companies you see advertised everywhere.
Yeah, avoid. Okay, last confession. Which one should I do? We have so many. So if you all want Eduek back, make sure that you share this on your story. Okay, let's ask this one. Hi, Reni. Do funds in checking accounts get taxed? My parents send me funds irregularly towards saving for a down payment for a house. It's currently in my checking account. Will this be an issue? Will this get taxed?
If you're earning interest on it, it's only the interest that will get taxed, nothing else.
And I want to emphasize that because a lot of people think you don't pay any money on the interest that comes into your account.
Oh, no, you do.
Yes. So one of my accountability group was recently sharing that like the CRA actually audited them over like $300 of interest that they got in their account. And yeah, they had to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, because the bank sent for the interest, I think it's a T5.
Yeah.
They send it to the bank. It actually shows up on if you log into your MyCRA, you see all your T slips.
Yeah.
It's there. They know that you got paid interest.
Yeah.
So just pay it.
Yeah. Typically checking accounts don't really have that much interest.
Yeah.
But
if you're getting a lump sum like for a down payment, it's gonna be
significant. Yeah.
Not that significant. It's really like 0.0.
So it was something.
Interest is something.
Yeah. But I wouldn't say I wouldn't say, oh, you shouldn't accept the money because you're getting a tax.
Yeah.
Because you know, that's a thing I hear often where people are like, oh, I don't want to make more money because I don't want to pay taxes on it. I'm like, babes.
That's a topic for another day.
Yeah, we could literally do a whole episode on that.
On
because
taxes.
it's
Why
like,
are people so afraid of taxes?
It's not, obviously, I don't think anyone likes to pay taxes, but more taxes means you're making more money, right? So
always.
Would you rather make $0 or would you make $100,000 and pay tax on the $100,000? Like, I don't
accept the money, pay the taxes.
Yes.
That's number one rule.
Period. Okay, well, we have a lot more, but we're going to end it off here right now. Thank you, Eduek, for coming. If anyone wants to find you, where can they find you?
Two Sides of a Dime on all platforms. You can also go to my website, www.twosidesofadime, where you can get all kinds of juicy financial literacy material. And what else?
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for being here. I think you added a lot of value to this episode. And I'm so grateful.
This was so much fun.
Yes, I can't wait to post this. I think this episode's going to do really well, and I'm really grateful that you're here. Okay, everyone, if you enjoyed this episode, once again, make sure you share it on your story. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well, because I post all the Coinfessions there too, and you can comment down there and let us know what you think. Use the hashtag DGBTpod as well. And yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the next episode. Bye.